No.
Now,
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Jay?
Here.
Sarah? Here. Eric?
Yes.
Nancy? Here. Audrey? Here. Ross?
Yes.
All of you should have received a copy of the January 13th, 2025 council meeting minutes. Any corrections or additions? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as distributed?
Motion?
Motion by Audrea. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All of you should have also received a copy of the January 27th Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Any corrections or additions?
Make a motion?
I have a motion by Nancy to accept the minutes as distributed. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Audrey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Administrative reports. I have nothing to report at this time. We'll move on down to solicitor's report.
I can talk about Addison Farms, but I see that's a later business item, so I'll hold that till then.
Does anybody have any additional questions or anything for the solicitor at this time? Okay, thank you, sir. Police chief's report.
I'll have the January activities sent out for you all before the committee of the whole meeting. The only other thing I got to report is I got one officer that'll be leaving this week to go to another agency. I did an interview last week, and we're preparing a conditional offer for a candidate that applied to come in. He's all his testing's already completed with the agency he was at before. He's already in the Ohio Police Fire pension, so he'll be pretty rapid to get in and get his training in. So one officer will be going, and within the same month we'll have an officer in fill that position.
Awesome. Okay, does anybody have any additional questions for the chief? Thank you, sir. Village administrators report.
Just a few items I had to go over. Once again, the boring part, keep council informed as far as our capacities are going. On the wastewater treatment plant, we have a proposed capacity of 1.4 million. We're currently at 388,000. So we still have some room at the wastewater plant. On the water treatment plant, we have a 1 million gallon a day capacity. And last month we used 407,000 gallons a day. We're about half capacity on our plant. As the system grows, we're trying to build some layers of authority. We have just promoted John Wilson in Widows Valley, the class 3 wastewater, class 1 water, moved him to superintendent, the supervisor B. And the B stands for the license he has. We had a couple more licenses to be supervisor A. We had a ceremony for him today. He's quite excited about it. He's done a real good job. Nate, our superintendent, is pleased with it. It'll allow Nate to do more administrative things. There's a lot of administrative things to do with EPA, the developers, all those kind of things to free him up. And John will be pretty much in charge of plant operations. So that should work well, and it's planned out, and we've had the people and staff to do it now. So that was a nice improvement. Alan, do you want me to speak to Susan's report?
You have her report.
I do. From the engineer's report, a couple things. I don't know if council has heard about BJ's warehouse that's going in out at the industrial park. 200-300 jobs. That's a big deal, and we're in the process now of reviewing the plans for that particular site, the Kevlar site. And Susan's supposed to start on tomorrow. Get some comments back, so that's moving right along. Soon there'll be a groundbreaking ceremony, so we'll make sure council is aware of when that's going to take place. Other thing on Foxfire 3-3, we have a pre-con started on that, and they're starting construction probably towards the first of the month. Well, here we are, February, so they should be starting on that pretty soon. And that'll move along. They've also submitted plans for 4-4 out at Foxfire, and they want to move ahead. And actually, they want to get some construction started on that this year. So you're going to see a lot of activity out at Foxfire moving ahead. And I don't know if that's the new military plant or whatever's coming in that's driving it, all those jobs, but there's a lot of activity going on there. So we'll keep you informed on where that stands. And I'll entertain any questions that council might have or.
Yes, I have one.
Yes.
Mayor said you were gonna contact me, but I didn't hear from you. What is the status of, the next path that we wanted, the multi-use path that we wanted to take?
Well, you and I talked, I need some direction. I'm getting a little bit mixed. Are we gonna complete the project up towards Genoa? Or are we gonna do a walking path through Walker Point? We need to know what direction.
I didn't know anything until you told me about the one on Walker Point. To me,
Okay.
that's just around a creek. I mean, that's a walking path to nowhere. But
I'm not gonna make a
Yeah,
decision on
I
that
think-
part. I just need direction. We can go in any direction that council decides they want to go as far as the walking paths go. I just need that direction.
yeah, that's always been my stance,
Yeah, you've been clear on that. I
is
understand.
to go to Genoa. So I would like to see some movement on there, get some quotes or whatever.
The-
See what we
If that's the
what we
direction
have to
council
do.
wants to go, the next thing that happens, we'll probably have Susan put together a drawing. Remember, I talked to the county commission,
Yes.
county engineer to get the right of way. I want to make sure we fit that path in that right of way.
Yeah.
And we'll have Susan put together a drawing on that, and that'll help get that direction. If we get it, then we can move ahead with it. But I just need to make sure that's where we want to go.
I have an opinion on it.
I guess that comes up to the council. Is that where you want to continue the walk path? Or is there someplace else you want to look at?
I was satisfied when Nancy went over it last year, so.
In the Walker Point that we discussed along the creek, the reason that came up was there used to be a walk path there when Walker Point was originally built. There was a walk path back through there. The walk path was mulch instead of blacktop or anything, and no one maintained it. And it just, when we started clearing out all the ditch area, we came across it and we found pieces of it and everything else. And it follows the creek all the way out to Walker Road. The reason that I would suggest we look at going ahead and blacktopping that is we're going to have to get down in there and maintain it. The whole idea of taking care of this creek, or why we cleared out the creek area, was because now we have a street department with equipment and we can get in and maintain that and keep it cleared up from here on out. To get down in there, a blacktop path would provide us a pathway to get down there and maintain that with the equipment.
Couldn't we do both?
And I'm not saying we can't do both. I would just,
I'm just saying, that we're trying to connect the outlying developments to the village. And, we've got to get over towards Chestnut somehow. And that's the next step.
why would we pay to go to Chestnut though? I just putting it out here. I would wait for the development of the Taylor Farm and let them complete that piece. Now going to Genoa, I understand,
And that's where I want to go, is just
but to
Genoa.
go from Genoa to Chestnut, I would wait till it develops and let the developer take care of that section for us. But I can see getting to Genoa. That connects a community.
Might suggest, why don't we do the first step of going to Genoa?
Yeah.
Let's get the
Which
plan
is what
put
I
together.
want. That's all I
Let's build
want
a
to do.
map, see how, let's make sure it's feasible. If
Yeah.
it's not feasible, then it's another conversation.
Right.
On the other hand, let's continue to kind of look at the one over Walker. Have two paths. Walker's being funded a little bit different because we talked about maybe getting some other funds for Walker
Mhm.
as a possibility. And keep two paths going. Keep council involved, and if we get to the point we have to make a final decision, okay, this is it, then we go that way. We haven't nixed either one of them.
Right. Yeah, I would like, that's why I'm like, because
Okay,
get out there and see, because we have 50 feet of easement out there, just to see if we can do it. And that's what I've been trying to get.
okay.
So,
With that concurrence, that's what I'd like to do. I'll go ahead and talk with Susan. We'll have her put together a little layout, make sure in the road, the 50-foot right of way, we get up through there. Soon we can, then that becomes an interesting track. And we'll also, in the meantime, work on the one over here at Walker Point.
okay.
As the mayor mentioned, there was a walking path there before. That property is owned by the HOA. We have to work with them a little bit on it. We do have some drainage easements in there. We have to think about how that drainage easement relates to walking path, other than, as Mayor mentioned, is an access point so we can do our maintenance of the ditch. So there's some things we need to look at, but if council direction they'd like for us to pursue, we'll run a double piece for right now.
So would the HOA have a shared expense in that if
That's
it's an
what I would
HOA thing?
I don't
I
think
mean,
so,
if it's their walk path, not saying leave them out to dry, but wouldn't they have some due diligence to fund part of that? Because they didn't take care of it, which would be a zoning violation, I believe. And then if,
I don't know if that gets into any kind of zoning violation for not maintaining a walk path. I'm sure there's probably nothing in the zoning book that even addresses that.
well, maybe not that specifically, but I mean, I don't know. That would be a Bill question. Do they have any culpability in?
I don't know how the land's deeded, what's in the right of way, that's, so,
I
big
mean,
question. I can't answer that off the cuff.
but with the other one, I mean, if it's not gonna cost us exuberant, if we end up having to get into eminent domain because we don't have room, I mean, until we do the engineering work, I don't know that we can really give a concrete one way or
Yeah,
the
I
other.
want to keep
Where's a
some
walking path?
engineering work and a type of bundle to start with. This is just kind of a preliminary layout to see if it'll fit. If it does fit, then we'll have to have a little more detailed engineering. And most of that's in the county. So the county or engineer would be involved, which I've talked to them,
Backyard, there's
and they're in
nothing gonna be
favor
there.
of the path. They're just not going to participate in cost.
And are we looking a path or a sidewalk?
path.
Next to the stream in Walker Point?
No, we're discussing, as far as the path, we're talking about along up to Genoa Crossing.
Oh, I was trying, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where in Walker Point the walk path was that wasn't maintained.
Right along the creek that goes through there.
It hasn't been like the entire creek.
Well, no, it was part of section A, the part A and B, I think, is what they finished with that, but that was now over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
And it was never maintained. And so it has disintegrated, but I had forgotten it was there until you mentioned it.
Yeah, well, I think everyone pretty much forgot it was there until we started clearing out it and we went back through there. It's like, well, it looks like a path. And then when we started discussing, it's like, yeah, I remember back when that thing originally went in. Yeah, like you said, that's been 20 years ago or so.
yeah, because
23,
I built 17 years ago and never saw a walk path anywhere.
you just got here. Oh, no.
Anyway, so I didn't see a walk path, so that's why I was curious. I'm like, did it run right in parallel with the stream?
Pretty much.
Guess I'm building a fence.
Yeah, I had forgotten it was there.
Okay.
I'll pursue both those a little bit and report back.
Thank you.
Moving on to zoning administrators report.
I have none. Any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Any questions for the administrator at this time?
No.
Thank you. Fiscal officers report.
Just working on permanent budget. I'll get with Alan this week and sort of try to finish it up and then get it out to you guys before your committee of the whole.
Is that the plans to start discussing that at the committee of the whole?
Okay. Moving on, legislative reports. Nancy,
Nothing.
Ross,
Nothing.
Sarah,
Nothing.
Eric.
Just a follow-up from the Cal meeting discussion. I reached out to a fire chief and he talked to their attorney that deals with the fire stuff and a trustee from another township. And if we move into another county, the fire and EMS really is not a headache for us. It has to be serviced because that would still be in their township. They said the only thing that could possibly be is we would have to sign an agreement like we have with our own township. So the fire and EMS question from an attorney that deals with the fire and then a trustee in that area is that it would not cause us any additional headache with that part. The other stuff administratively, yes, it's probably going to add extra work, but for that part that we were talking about in the Cal, the answer is no, that it would not.
We do not have an agreement with the township fire department that I'm aware of.
Right. He said you probably won't have to. He said, but at most you would have to sign. We would have to sign a service agreement that usually there's no cost with that. But he said, no, it's the way it was explained is just like the prison. Even if the township didn't have it, or if it was in, they have to service it because it's in the township. Now they have a contract and that helps, but they said because the business would be in the township, it has to be provided fire and EMS service.
Okay.
And that's all.
Andrea,
Nothing at this time.
Jay,
Nothing at this time.
committee reports, Parks and Rec Committee,
Nothing.
Land Use Committee.
We want to let everybody know that on the 13th at 6:30, we have what we feel is going to be a very great meeting. We'd like to see as many people as we can. We have MSG as a company that does all kinds of things, but they're coming in to talk to us about moving our vision into a book or paper or whatever. To include land use, and we discussed at the Cal, and I've reached out to them, and they're going to give us a price both ways to have an official multi-use path, walk path included. So like Bill said, we could have it on the path, on the bookshelf, and if something comes up, we just pull it down. So if anybody wants to come on the 13th at 6:30, it would be great to see you so that maybe we can get as many questions as many different minds can come up with. I mean, if we have enough, we can hold it out here instead of back there, whatever works out. But we're looking forward to it, and we'd really like to share the process with as many people as we can. So that's all.
Thank you. Public comments. I'd just like to remind everybody, we have a couple of people signed up. Council does not answer any questions or have any discussion during public comments. It's just you have 5 minutes to speak to the council to address any concerns that you may have. So with that being said, starting out, we have Crystal Bailikowski.
Close. Bailikowski. And this is on Addison Farms, and I've spoke a couple times now to y'all that
Can you
my
remind us of your
feelings toward
address?
it. And I
Allen
just
address?
would like to say that just make sure whatever we do is good for not only Commercial Point, but those that are following around that. I mean, is that gonna be good for us? Is that gonna be good for our housing prices? I don't know, but that's what I would like to see. I could scream on, stomp and snort all I want, but it's not gonna get anywhere, because development's gonna happen, we know that. But we would like to see something that is a little more subtle than, bunches and bunches and bunches of people and homes all in that little tiny place right there. But that's all I got to say, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And she is at 9525 McCord Road.
Thank you.
And now we have Adam Hook, and he's at 9493
That's it.
McCord Road.
Thank you.
I'm also here to talk about Addison, for what it's worth. Just want to talk out against the developer. This just doesn't really seem like a developer that the village would really be wanting to do business with, because it seems like every step of the way through this process, they've been just pulling a rabbit out of their hat last second. Like before the first and second readings, each time they would send a brand new plan 45 minutes before the meeting to be discussed and voted on. They wouldn't get stuff to you guys ahead of time so you could look at it and actually vote on it. They just seem like they come in here and are assuming that Commercial Point, they can just kind of ask for whatever they want. So they're doing that. And then they come in here and you guys say, well, this isn't the way that we've been doing it, so we don't necessarily want to do it this way. We're not going to give you tip money to do all this stuff. And so they say, well, okay, let's just make this deal a little more complicated, a little more convoluted. Let's do this different type of tax money. And then we'll just take that money and you can give it to us. We'll spend it how it's supposed to be spent. But then we're also going to use it to leverage bonds. It just seems like every step of the way, they're making it more and more complicated to make a deal work that shouldn't really have to. They say they need this money to make the development work. Well, if they need if they need these extra avenues to make it work, maybe it wasn't really a good business plan to start with. There's other developers that are willing to abide by the way that you've done business for other developments recently. And they make it work just fine. So they don't need the special treatment. They have better business plans apparently. So yeah, this is what I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our business items for this evening. Up first, actually, we've got three of them, all very similar: the Easter egg hunt, the homecoming parade, and the go-kart committee car show and concert. These are street closures that they are requesting. We have, all of you have been supplied with maps showing the streets that would be closed, as well as the dates and times of everything. Is there any more discussion on any of these whatsoever? At this time, I'd accept a motion to allow all three of these
So moved.
to take place.
Can we add the village events in there as well, or
I was going to do it
you want to
separate.
do it
but,
separate? Okay, that's fine.
Okay, we've got a motion by Eric. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, well, that takes care of those. The next item, yes, with the village activities, you have a schedule that Nancy had put together, or Paula, one of them put it together and got it to me. And so we've got a schedule, and these were the I'll take that back. This is the homecoming. Nope, this is the farmer's market and food truck schedules,
And Halloween.
and Halloween
And
and Christmas tree lighting. And those also involve some street closures and so on and so forth. Was there any discussion on any of those? I think we pretty much went through all these at the committee of the whole meeting. Do I have a
motion?
have a motion by Andrea to allow the streets to be closed for the events on the schedule?
Second.
We had a second by Ross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Up next, our next item is the school. It was going to be presenting us a major site plan to add on to their parking lot at the elementary school. And at this point in time, I have not received it yet. I believe Susan got a copy of it the other day, but it did not make it here in time for the agenda. But at this time, as we discussed in the committee of the whole, do I have a motion to waive the fees, the village charges for the major site plan to the school?
Motion.
I have a motion by Jay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Nancy to waive the fees. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, our next item up is the Addison Farms. I'll turn this over to you, Bill.
Sure. Glenn's out there. If you all have any questions. As we discussed at the Cal meeting, there were 4 items. The first was we didn't want to pay any interest. The second was we didn't want to reimburse any soft costs. The third was we did not want a cooperative agreement in which the funds from the TIF were given to the developer and then paid out. And then the final one was we wanted to define the improvements that were going to be subject to the TIF as only those outside the proposed development. Had a couple emails and conversations with Glenn, Joe Miller, and then a client representative. The developer was under the impression that they were going to do all of the development, both inside and outside of the development, including but not limited to extending the sewer and water lines and all of the pavement, and was hopeful that we would pay them back with the TIF as opposed to us doing the actual engineering and improvements on the outside, bringing the water and the sewer and any street improvements to the site and using TIF money to pay the village back. I think it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of who's going to do what. And we didn't really talk about the village performing those activities or where the water and sewer were, if we were interested in doing that through the engineer, through John. Developer was under the impression they were going to do it so that they could control the time frame of how quickly they could bring the project to bear. With that, I'll take any questions that y'all have. If there's questions I can't answer, Glenn's out there in the audience.
Bill, I have a question. With all that you just said at the end, our normal practice is to work with them on the outside stuff, correct? And then they do the inside stuff, or why is
There's multiple ways.
different?
There's multiple ways that you can do it. If you're extending your line and you want to send that out to bid and extend assuming the lines aren't there yet, you can do it, they can do it. They dedicate it back to you because it's outside.
I don't know, what's our normal
In
practice?
The normal practice we've went through in the past is the developer takes care of all of that. He puts in the lines per the village specs and per the village engineer.
Right.
And then the developer is reimbursed with TIF money. That is how we typically do it. I mean, and I don't recommend having the village put in any lines, and I mean, there's no
We've
sense.
no.
We've never done it that way. I see no reason to do it that way. I'd stick.
There are other villages, cities that will only allow their people to touch their lines to extend them.
I think that was everyone's thought, that they would be putting the lines in. Is that correct?
Well, we just thought it was business as usual,
Yeah.
Right.
what we normally do.
Right.
I mean, I understand they work with a lot of other
And that's
municipalities.
what they would like to do, is put the water, they would like to extend the water and sewer and take care of the roads.
How does that change anything that we had issues with in the black line that you gave us?
The
I'm confused.
cooperation agreement, they'd like to control the funds as opposed to us controlling the funds. We discussed that, Alan and Wendy and I. We did not wish to do that, did not wish to enter that cooperation agreement that was attached that I handed you all at the cow. But if they're doing the work, their points back to me were they wanted interest on the money.
On the TIF money.
On the TIF money. They wanted interest. If they were putting the dollars out to do the work, they wanted interest on the TIF money. They wanted a cooperation agreement to make sure that they got paid. We did not get down to brass tacks as to who's going to control the funds. In the normal course of business, Wendy would control it, give them back their money on a payment schedule once the money is received by the.
Alan, in the past, we've paid like 2% interest on the TIF money, right? Or something like that?
We've got one out there now where we're paying 2.875%. My question is, and I don't know, maybe Glenn can answer, why would we do the cooperative agreement? We've never done that with our other ones, and we are paying interest. We have a TIF agreement that outlines everything. Why do we need this separate agreement?
Yeah, the primary reason, Mayor, is that in order to raise the money, we anticipate working with the Port Authority to issue bonds. And so the Port Authority needs to know that that money's gonna come to them to go ahead and pay for the bondholders. So it's a $2.3 million improvement. The bond raise would be about $3.2 million. And that would cover all the costs of the issuance of the bonds. And that would then provide the money to actually do the improvement. The reason to do the TIF, obviously, is that the payments back on the bonds from the city to the Port Authority to the bond holders would be significantly less, and the village would end up with that surplus.
Glenn, is that a deal breaker? If we don't do the co-op agreement, are you saying you don't want to do the deal? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't feel comfortable with it, only because like what has happened in this project, the first guy was here, then he's gone. The next guy is here, he's gone. So we have to have a trust. We're asking our financial officer to release something, and we may not know who it is in the future.
Well,
and they're going to run off with the money, and then are we on the hook with the Port Authority, or how does that work? I mean, to me, that'd be a deal breaker from my side of the table personally.
Yeah, it's what these deals take to get done. So you have to be able to assure the bondholder. So I buy a bond. I need to know that the village is going to make good on the flow of funds from the homeowner, to the county, the village and that the village is gonna make good on those funds.
Statutorily, Glenn, aren't we?
No, just from a security standpoint.
That's what I mean, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
statutorily, we
Yeah.
can't hold that money, correct? So it would have to be paid out, just not to you, to them. It might go to them or
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
to say it's to us, I think is a significant mischaracterization of it all.
That's what it said, though, that it would be
Uh,
paid to you, correct?
The cooperation agreement as originally framed, the draft agreement that you got was, all the money was going to the developer. You're correct, Eric.
Right. But I think we've been working on this, I guess, with Mr. Mattis over the weekend. We've made some progress there. But we didn't understand until, I think we spoke today at 4:00, that at least there was some confusion as to who was doing the improvements. I think Bill seemed to think that the village was going to. So we probably have some additional discussions in order to sort this out. But, no, the bond structure doesn't really work without the agreement, the cooperation agreement. I guess to a certain extent, we don't want it, like, there's this perception that we are somehow going to control the money and run off with it. That's not the way these things work at all. And what we're trying to do is get you to an agreement that we know exactly where the money's going and exactly how much it is. And it's a fairly substantial amount of money. Because the amount of the bond is not fairly significant in terms of the revenue that's coming in from the TIF. You know, one of the things that I had some confusion about, there's actually two types of TIFs. There's actually a lot of, but there's, in terms of the term of time, one is a 10-year term, and one is a 30-year term. And the village and it's able to devote certain dollars depending upon if it's a 10-year term versus if it's a 30-year term. So for instance, a 10-year term, it's 75% of those revenues go into the TIF fund. If it's a 30-year term, it's the non-school revenue, whatever that portion is. It's typically around 25 or 30% actually go into the TIF fund. So on this one, I don't think we've even gotten to an understanding with the village as to whether this should be a 10-year or should be a 30-year, and that's probably more your preference.
Yeah, I think the original understanding, I wasn't here, but I think the original understanding was it would be a 30-year because there was not to be any harm to the schools given the size of and scope of the development.
So you could do 10, you could do 30. The math works out almost the same as to whether it's a 10 or a 30. But 30 is a full non-school TIF where the schools are held harmless. So these are just the county social service component to the taxes. So I think there was some confusion this weekend. There's some confusion today between us and those. What I'd like to do is, sit down, try and resolve this with council and the mayor. And I think this guy, you were on that committee too. And we're not too terribly, quite frankly, very far away from getting this wrapped up, honestly.
So in your mind, what kind of time frame do you think that we could iron this out?
I would love to be able to I'd love to be in Bill's office this week and see if we can work it out. And then have a full report to him at the CAL at the end of the month.
What about the,
No, go ahead.
the NCA? I know we kind of talked about that as well.
That was that.
Yeah,
So they do
yeah.
We were
that,
told
okay.
you did.
Yeah,
Right.
correct. And
We proposed that as a way to generate additional revenue. That would be sourced just from the subdivision, but you all don't want to do that, so. we
Yeah,
moved on.
I'm not too hype on a co-op agreement either.
Yeah, so my question is, are you saying, like if this council is not comfortable with a cooperative agreement, are you saying, I'm just saying, when we get in the council, we discuss it and we decide we're not comfortable with that or whatever, if that were the case, hypothetically. Would that be, are you saying that is, like, we have to have that to get this done?
It's best practices now to have a cooperative agreement. That's.
Okay, I'm just wondering, 'cause from what
I
I'm
don't know-
hearing.
I don't really know how to answer the question.
Yeah, well, I
because
guess what
don't
I'm
have my client here.
hearing.
I don't have bond counsel here saying, but I was told, have been told, that
Yeah.
we need a cooperative agreement in order to make the flow of funds work.
Okay,
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, I guess part of my question would be, why wouldn't you want to cooperate?
Well, I'm not saying that we don't want to cooperate. We have been getting you the red lines, so I know we have been working on that.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, if we've done the other subdivisions a certain way, why, and we haven't had a cooperative agreement with them, like, why can't we?
I don't know about that. I think it's because in this instance, we anticipate working with the Port Authority to issue bonds. And so we have a third party entity.
Okay.
As opposed to a repayment TIF, which is probably what you've done previously.
Everything that we've done in the past, we've just had a straight TIF agreement with the developer, and we've done a repayment straight to the developer. The developer hasn't went out and had to sell bonds to do the job. Is that pretty much what it is?
Yeah, that's the difference. The Port Authority would be issuing, not us. I'm sorry to interrupt. So,
Yeah.
That's all.
Can I ask a question out of ignorance? Why is this having to be a Port Authority job? Because it goes back to, like you had said previously, without some of these things, it's just not feasible for you to pull it off. So you need to have the money fronted, or is there some legal thing?
It's a high upfront cost. So I just finished one in Reynoldsburg where the city issued a developer bond, and the developer then bought that bond and provided the $3 million that was kind of short to extend a fairly significant sanitary sewer out the east side of that city. So this is a fairly common thing. We were trying to avoid asking you to issue the bond because that's not something you probably want to get involved in. You don't have a long history of doing bond indebtedness in your town. And the Port Authority is here, and that's exactly what they're designed to do, is to help help with economic development through their accessing the capital markets, and that's why we anticipated using and working with Port Authority.
Come on, Glenn, you're disappointing me. You keep asking us to do new things, but you didn't ask us on this one.
No. I think that we've been clear in this one all along that we didn't talk about a reimbursement TIF. We always talked about a bond TIF as a part of this deal, and the cooperative agreement is necessary because you have to tell the Port Authority that they're going to get their money. So
I guess it might be easier to palate if that was the Port Authority here telling us that has to be.
We'll get them here.
I mean, I don't know that would change it, but
it's
it's been a very bumpy road on both sides. And is there a trust issue? I don't want to call it that, but there is some uncertainty on both sides. I'm sure you have it with us being a young, growing place, and I'm sure we have some with y'all.
Right, and it's also you have done TIFs before, right? You have done reimbursement TIFs, which is sort of the standard way those things get done. Having the Port Authority be the issuer is a little bit different. It's just a way to find the money, and so that's the purpose for the. But is it unheard of? No, it's not unheard of at all.
What, with the Port Authority issuing the bond, or with the cooperative agreement, let me get this correct. Okay, with the cooperative agreement, then the TIF funds would go to the Port
I
Authority,
think that's correct, Mary. Yeah.
and then
Who takes the bonds?
they would make the decision of, per the agreement, how the funds are distributed. Or would they just start
No,
paying
no.
off the bonds first with the 100% of the TIF money?
No, if we do it, are we doing a 30-year or 1075?
Say 30.
30, so the county gets the tax payment. They send 70% of it to the school district. They send 30% to you in your TIF fund, probably Wendy, right?
Yep.
And then pursuant to that agreement, then the money would flow to ultimately the bondholders. It wouldn't go to us.
Right, that's just not how the agreement was worded that Joe's partner sent to us. It was, the money was going to the developer, so.
But that could be, but
That would have to be worked out in the details, because that was the sticking point for almost all the council members. Is, no, we're not going to release the funds. We're going to hold them, we'll account for them. We're responsible for them. We've got to audit them, so. Yeah, it's sounding like it's a tripartite agreement between the Port Authority as bond issuer, the village, the taxing authority, and the developer. So there's more work to be done.
My only thing with that is interest. Obviously, if bonds are issued, interest is going to be paid. What type of interest rates were they talking about? Is it compounding interest? Where are we going? What's
Yeah.
that turn into?
Well, I'm gonna cover two things with the mayor. One is interest, and I don't know if it'd be 2.8%, it'd be whatever the standard issuing rate for that type of bond at that time that it's issued. So I think in the spreadsheet that I sent to Bill this afternoon, it was like 5, I believe, but I don't know if that's an accurate interest rate or not. The second thing, and one of the reasons that we want to do the work, in addition to being able to somewhat control the calendar, is that when you do public improvements in the public right of way, you have to pay prevailing wage, and you have to do it through public bid. That's what John typically does, is he runs it through a public bid process. There's a bit of a quirk in the state TIF law that enables us to, we're required to pay prevailing wage, but we don't have to comply with public bid requirements. That typically results in a significant savings, roughly 10% or so, or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons that we kind of go down this road, is there is a cost savings between having it done by, a governmental entity and having it done privately.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that paper being waste.
And I don't see that as a sticking point with the council as far as
No, it's
that. I think,
just an advantage of doing so, yeah.
I mean, we still have to sign off on the quality and everything, right?
yeah, it would be
So-
village to village specs. So
I
I
still inspect it.
Yeah, we've always.
Inspected, got to turn in the plans got to get reviewed and approved. We got to build in accordance with plans, inspected in the field. So, I mean, in terms from a qualitative standpoint, it's exactly the same.
I think if we moved forward on this, we would definitely want to see payment schedules or something, or some type of model put together so
Yeah,
that we could see that.
We had that done. I thought it was done some time ago. They revised it. I sent that to Bill this afternoon.
Okay.
Mayor has, or Bill has.
They were not attached, Glenn. They're mentioned in the email. For some reason, they weren't attached.
Really? I got them on my phone. They showed up to me. All right, well, sorry.
Okay, well,
Anything gonna matter tonight?
I just think that would be some more information the
And-
council would definitely want to see.
Yeah, and I think council will want to see, because it is a fairly substantial amount of money that does accrue to the village through this process. It's absolutely reasonable.
And I guess to even entertain it, I would want to hear from somebody that's not the developer that this is a have to be this cooperative thing. Somebody that's really not involved in making money, only making money on the bonds that they
You
sell.
want to hear from the Port Authority itself.
Yeah, whoever it is, whoever
The
needs to
bond
come.
issuer.
Right. And maybe we shore up the language that the money goes to the bond issuer, not the developer. Well, I'd go to Wendy and then, I mean, because we've got to clear ourselves,
Right.
because she
And
has
there's
to
no-
answer to
There's
the
no
auditor.
problem with a cooperative agreement. It's just, I take it the council doesn't want to enter a cooperative agreement that the money goes somewhere other than our fiscal agent.
Correct. It'd
Right.
come here and then the bond's got to be paid first. So I guess it would
Understood.
go
Yeah.
there.
Understood.
Exactly. No, and
Was you looking at the Pickaway County Port Authority? Is that who you were dealing with, or some other port authority?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
No, I think it was the Rickenbacker Port Authority, but I'm not sure.
I'm pretty
Don't
sure.
quote me on it, Mayor. I think it was Rickenbacker.
Okay.
But the extent to which we've had conversations with them, that isn't in my sandbox, so I don't know, Mayor. So
Okay.
we will try and get somebody from whoever we are going to dance with here for your, as a part of.
Any other questions for Glenn?
I just have a statement, if I may. Glenn, I really, I like seeing you and all. You're a good guy, but I'd really like to pull this off the table and vote next council meeting. Do you think that's doable?
Yes. We're not that far away.
I mean, as you see, we're getting busy with a lot of
I get
other
it.
stuff, and I think for our constituents, the people that live around us and these other developers, I really think we need to put this to an end, whether it be in a positive or a negative. I just think we owe it to the people that voted this in to get this done.
from my perspective, that's good. You've asked me something to do tonight that I don't know.
What's that?
And that's to get somebody here from the Port Authority.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I obviously can't control their calendars.
Right. The short of that, you see that with the next,
Yeah, I mean, we'll either be able to get this done or not. I mean, we're probably 95% of the way there.
so you feel comfortable enough for us to have it as a part of the meeting to vote on this?
I think that Bill should have plenty to talk to you about at the COW.
Fair enough.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dan.
Glenn.
Okay, moving down the list, the next item we have is the Chuck Lang annexation.
Scioto Glen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I X'd through that. You're not up yet. Hang on. Scioto Glen.
Is somebody here from there? Oh,
Noah Klein with Harold Stevenson. Where we're at right now is the preliminary plan is complete, and we're working with Luke. He has talked with AEP and Columbia Gas, and I'm happy to go for those lined up. So I think we're just working through the annexation now for the next meeting.
It is, it'll be filed tomorrow.
Will be filed tomorrow? Is that what
I'm
you said?
sorry, not filed. It's actually going to the commissioner's office.
Okay.
And the engineer. I apologize.
So I guess if you guys have any more questions, Greg might need to make it today. So,
I have several, but the one was the pictures that y'all sent us of possible homes. A lot of those models by our code are going to require a basement. And when you guys talked the last meeting, you had made it sound like it might be a basement here, basement there. Are you going to limit the number of each style that would require a basement? Because as one of the council members said, a whole lot of basements in that area throw a whole different possible issue with either engineering or wastewater or, things like that.
I believe at the last meeting, they said they wasn't going to build any basements.
So, yeah, so it's all going to be slabs, except everything beside the pond. I believe there's 5 blocks. And the reason is for the aesthetics of a walkout to the pond. That's the reason for that. Everything else is if there's a home buyer that, they want a basement, they get one. If not, they don't. Basements cost a lot. As far as the gravity for the sewer, that's the biggest thing. It reaches all holes if it were a basement.
yeah, so the gravity's deep enough, and with the walkouts, if we were going 10 feet lower, so this helps the grading from the factory yards all the way to the pond. That's why those first 5 above the pond, or north of the pond, we're going to do walkouts.
Okay.
It's all based on what the new property owner does. If they want a basement, okay. If not, it's slab. Basements cost money, so.
To be 100% honest with you, before the process starts, the way it's written now, I would be a no.
And
If you-
what is written,
This plan,
okay.
with just the one piece. Now, if the home that you put under land contract was involved, then I see that it has more of a benefit to the village. I see that the 29 homes being a way to make the most bang for the buck with the land with, in my opinion, 0 benefit to the village. If this other property that would get us another access to 104 for
Well,
fire and EMS,
Yeah,
that's a plus. That gets them there faster, 2 or 3 minutes. When you only have 60 in a stroke, 2 or 3 minutes is a lot.
I totally agree. 2 things. The gravity sanitary sewer won't reach that far because it's lowland. And number 2, ODOT would never give a curb cut because it's too close to Durrett and Southern.
But we could explore that.
We've already explored it.
As
Because it would be in our best interest, totally. The gravity sewer, it would never work. Then we'd have to do a lift station. As far as it would make sense financially, putting a lift station in to pump it up, one, the village doesn't want lift stations. And 2, it's not feasible for the amount of lots that we could actually get on that 5 acres.
I think the big thing you need to take a look at is our zoning code.
Mhm.
And just because I think right now, if you have a full 2-story house, a basement's required.
or 35
Building
feet.
height, 35
So-
feet or 2 stories.
And we can do that.
So I just want to Make sure you check the code so that you can make
That's
everything
fine. If
work.
it's 2 stories, we'll make sure it has a basement.
Yeah,
I mean, if that's code, we'll do it. If you want everything to have basement, we'll do it. So, that's not off the table
okay.
by any means. It's all feasible, it's all practical, it can be done. I'm an inspector for South Bloomfield, as well, through Harold Stevenson. I dealt with Arbor and Fisher, and 90% of the homes are slabs, because basements cost. And, the residents that are coming in, they just, for whatever reason, would rather just have a slab. Me, I could go both ways. If the village would require a basement, then I will make it happen.
No, I believe the only thing that code calls out is if it's like I said,
I think there
a
was a height
2-story.
standard.
A building height 35 feet
Okay, so
or 2
35
stories.
Right, so if it's 35, now, say that again.
It's 35 feet or 2 stories.
Okay, so we're never going to hit 35 feet, because it's going to be 9 to 9, once you have the second story floor joist. So you're going to be 9 to 9 to the pitch. At best, might be 12. You're never going to hit 35 feet. 2-story, yes, there will be 2 stories.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the 2 stories
That-
do
I know.
require a basement.
Everybody wants the square footage. So, that's not a problem. If we got to do basements, we'll do basements. I mean, that is not a problem at all.
No, this will be proposed as a PRD, right?
We'll say the process with the village is, first of all, the annexation. And if you go and file the annexation, the village has 20 days and within 20 days, the village once we're notified, and typically when you notify the county, you notify the village at the same time. The village then has 20 days to do a service resolution that has to go down to the county. So you need to coordinate your timing probably with Wendy, because with everything that has to go out and the number of days and so on. Second of all, you probably need to make sure council wants to move forward with this, because there's no sense in you filing for annexation and it goes through the county and then it comes back. And once it goes through the county and they hold a public hearing, they make their decision, it comes back to the village, then we have to sit on it for 60 days. We can't touch it. At the end of the 60-day period, then it comes onto our docket, and then we start doing our readings and passing legislation. Once it comes back to us and council makes a decision, you don't want to get 6 months down the road into this and find out council votes no. So
My other question that was a part of that is the basement requirement something that, because it's a PRD, something that can be accepted, not accepted, but something that can be listed as a deviation from the plan in the PRD? I mean, as long as the structure meets Ohio building code.
So the, what percentage, I don't know if you guys know, I don't, what percentage in Cider Crossing is slab? Which is adjacent.
Yeah, I'm
not
aware that
Point,
there's
which
any.
would be to the north. I don't know the percentage, but I know there are slabs in there, and they were accepted. Now, whether it was 2-story or not, I don't know.
Well, Southern Point isn't village though.
It's not. You're right.
So there's a big difference.
Yeah, okay. So, but we still have Cider Crossing. So how many, whether 2-story, 1-story, how many are slabs?
I'm not aware
Does
that.
anybody know?
I'm not aware that there's any.
I mean, I can reach out to DR Court and find that percentage out, or even if it was an option. Again, it's usually just based on whatever the new homeowner is.
Yeah, I'm not aware that they have any without basements.
I'm not either. I don't know.
I don't know what the final thing was.
I'll check.
But back to the process, if council's on board, you move forward with the county, it comes back to us, we go through it. The annexation process is typically, 6-8 months?
180 days.
Well, that's once it comes, okay.
Right.
So if you're looking through that entire process, then once it comes back, then we have to go through a rezoning process. once we start the rezoning process, and if this is I take it would be zone PRD, which is fine, that'd be the same thing that the Scioto Crossing is zoned. But if we go PRD, traffic studies are required. And I just want to make sure you're aware of everything, all the requirements and so on as it.
Yeah, it's one
Okay.
big heavy.
It takes
I
a while.
understand.
It takes a while to get through it.
Well, that and money. So, that's kind of where, I'm coming in, like little old me. Like, if this is not gonna go, and instead of me spending another $30,000,
Right.
then just say so.
And
I feel that we've done due diligence as far as, water and sewer capacity. It works. The property is perfect for, what we're proposing, nothing else. And we kick it out of agricultural and we don't have a hog farm or cow farm if I have to sell it. So,
Council's thoughts.
I'm personally fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Me too.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Looks like
well,
you've got
I
most of the
appreciate that
people
because
are.
it's a
Yeah.
big deal on my end.
There's no sense in moving forward if council's going to sit here and say we're not fine
Right,
with it.
we don't want to see my life savings go away. You know what I mean? So, hey, that's pretty much.
Well, then, before you file anything, it appears if we're ready to move forward with this, before you file anything with the county, if you could maybe stop in and talk to Wendy
Sure. I'll have
and
Greg.
coordinate some dates with her and make sure that we can kind of flow in the process. We only have one meeting a month, so.
Right.
And if when we have to do it within 20 days, we have to do a service resolution. So we might want you to hold off for 10 days so it falls into our next regular meeting so we can put it on the agenda.
And that's fine. We're just trying to, I keep my foot on the gas because it's all money. We all know that. That's why Columbia Gas, AEP, we're getting everything put together ahead of time. Not that we're trying to overstep onto anybody. But, really, I think for everybody's best interest, quicker the better, and we need to make it happen. So that's where we're at. Craig couldn't make it here, so Noah's here. Me, so, but
Okay, does
Good.
council have any more questions at this point in time?
okay.
Good.
Good?
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're down to business item H, Chuck Lang annexation.
Yeah, I came up here probably about a year ago. I took the car with the truck wash out of it and everything.
Right.
Plans. I turned over to an attorney. They didn't think this was done already. They let it lapse. That's why I'm back in here basically. And, this. I paid the lawyer to do this. Not getting any tickets now. Oh, no, you don't need one. This year.
Thank you.
I'm new at this council.
That's okay.
Which is Rocky, you have anything to say?
Which is one of
I missed it and all that. Not really, not really.
There's a few new council members.
Yes, council has changed, so you may want to kind of start and give them an overview of the project and where it's located and everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
Before you start, where's 104?
Oh, it's right in front. That's right. It's right here. And this is a flag lot. It's down on the corner of 762. And that's right down there where the old farmhouse
This is
is.
762?
Yeah, right down here.
Okay,
And then this is right in front of the warehouse.
okay.
This building.
Thank you.
So this here is 104.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what it is, gas station, just a convenience store. We sell diesel, we pick up the truck wash. And we have the pumps right out front. The pumps will be right there out front and the diesel pumps will be here. And this is just overflow truck parking. And the car wash is right down here. 'Cause they wanted to move from there to down here, so we went ahead and moved down there.
Is there one or two entrances off? Is there one or two entrances off 104? So just the one right here?
Well, depends what the state, want to take it down to Franklin County Engineer. You know, we're gonna try to get 2 curb cuts, but, you know, they might just give us 1. I don't know, because we'll have to do a traffic survey and all that stuff. After we get down to Franklin County Engineer.
Do you know what kind of convenience store or gas station this is proposed to be?
Well, what kind do you want down there?
We'd like a Buc-ee's.
Yeah, Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's would be great.
Well, Buc-ee's and the franchise. I don't think they get franchise out. I think they're independent.
I don't know. I was just curious if you had
Probably
somebody.
I mean, if we can get a Kroger's or like, you know, one of the big ones, you know, I mean, I like to get some help getting the machines in there, the pullers, you know, because they'll pay for the canopy, you know, subsidize if we sell their gas.
It's technically a marathon or shelf.
Yeah, a marathon on the shelf. And they'll pay for the canopy and stuff, the pumps.
Pay for everything.
Yeah. Whoever gets the best deal.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does everybody understand where this is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
It's
didn't really
across
want
from
the truck wash in
Strauss's.
there. The guy drew it up, he put the truck wash in there, and I said, I really don't want truck wash, because this tear up stuff, you know,
Yeah.
plus a lot of
Cause some
maintenance,
traffic
grease,
too.
oil, yeah, a lot of water.
Now, I see that you don't have very much truck parking.
Yeah,
And-
I don't want
and-
a lot,
Well,
because,
my issue is you look at sheets.
Yeah.
And before they got done, they realized they didn't go big enough. And you end up having trucks all over that lot all night. Are we
yeah,
gonna
but
end
we're
up
not
with
gonna
the
allow
same?
overnight parking, it's not gonna be a truck stop, you know what I mean? It's just gonna be someplace to get fuel, they wanna pull up, they can go in there and get something to eat or drink, or something like that. I don't really want a truck stop there, you know? I
Yeah.
just want something to get fuel, go in and get something, then leave. I'm not gonna have overnight parking and.
Quick bathroom break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
just
glad for
don't-
that. I wouldn't want that either.
it's just too much trouble.
It would add to too much traffic too. I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna have that and
Yeah,
people
I
trying to
agree.
get in and out. It'll
Yeah.
be too much.
I totally agree.
7,000 square feet convenience store, is that what that's like?
I couldn't read it.
Yeah, probably around 5. They drove to 7,000.
It looks like a 7.
It'll be around 5, because I don't want to sprinkler system and all that stuff in it. I wanna keep it below
simple.
that,
Uh-huh. Okay.
because then we'll have to put put a fire line in separately and a domestic in.
And then you have, I know you took the truck wash out. You still have a vehicle wash
Yeah.
that you wanna put in? Okay.
Yeah. And it'd be low volume water, you know, and then recycle too.
Just to get a sense on the size, do you remember how big Pettit's is?
That's exactly what I was gonna
That's
ask.
probably like, I think it's over 5,000.
They're pretty big.
Yeah, that's like,
Cause they're a convenience store too, like they're big.
oh, I go in there and use it all the time. I go grocery shopping there all the time. But I don't want a grocery store.
So you want it a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Maybe a
Yeah.
little,
Like a IGA, no, not even.
or like when you
IGA.
go into a actual
No,
truck
I don't
stop,
want
they
to, I
have
don't
little
want a grocery
pizza
store.
place,
I don't want to
chocolate
deal with
place.
produce,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
feeds, all that. I just want like, you know, like,
Quick snack pickup.
yeah.
Yeah,
just-
that makes sense.
Speedway, something. like that.
Yeah. That's about 5,000 square feet.
What's the LS? You've got LS here, and then you got detention or tenant LS. What's LS? Is that another out parcel lease, or?
Let me see.
So you've got it listed here, and then you've got it up here, potential retention or tenant LS.
LS
I'm
is all
guessing the
over it.
lease.
Landscape.
Thank you.
Landscape?
Landscape.
I don't know.
You got it. Mayor got it.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, lift stations or anything for like campers or anything to
No,
Nothing like that.
no, I don't. I mean, I might have like air or something, stuff like that.
Nothing crazy.
Oh,
You know, like a sweeper for the car wash.
are you thinking of doing any electrical charging stations on there?
I want to, but I wanted to run it by you guys to see.
It's kind of a new thing now to do that. You know, you would have to be parked for several hours sometimes.
Yeah, 2 hours, I think.
Okay,
Especially, I'd have to talk to AEP too, but
that was my next
Now,
one.
is that AEP at that corner or is that?
well, that line,
south?
it goes clear back behind that ice cream store. It goes all the way and feeds that house.
I know.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure.
On the warehouses, we got one warehouse on that property that's South Central.
Yeah,
And that is, it's north, but east of,
but all that belongs to AEP down to there. Because I had to have AEP move those poles right there on the corner.
okay.
Yeah, and then South Central, they distribution the power though. But the transmission that goes down on 104, it's all AEP.
Okay, that's,
But
Got it.
my line goes all the way back behind the ice cream shop, all the way. It's a easement down through there.
I don't think that I would be super jazzed if there were a ton of charging there, like over at, Giant Eagle over on Stringtown.
Yeah.
They have like a huge line.
I like
But if
that.
it's like half the size,
I like to put 6.
right, that
Yeah.
would be, I would be cool with that.
And that would be easy because that's just one 480 drop
Yeah.
coming in. But I think to appeal to more of our constituents, having a place for, RV freshwater and a dump station that they can come in and do that, as long as it's okay with John and our water sewer people. I mean, that's another,
John's shaking his head no, bro.
that's another group of people that
I
service.
never did it because I didn't think you guys would want that.
Well, I'm just trying to think of
I don't
services
I'm
really
that,
not wild about that either.
I don't think I want that.
No.
A dumping station,
Because,
dumping station for RVs.
People they could dump stuff down your sewer and it could cause you a problem. That's the only thing. Like they're taking that cap off and they're dumping their hose down it, they could drop their phone down it, they could drop a brick down it, and then that gets in the city sewer. Now, if you put a trap in there before it gets to your city sewer, that'd be okay. You gotta have some way to protect your sewer.
Mhm.
That'd be the only thing, because, they could be dumping sand down it. Who knows? They could be dumping their, these people that clean carpet. They come in, I see them do it at Flying J's. They'll dump their sweeper down that darn thing.
Mhm.
And then they have all that carpet debris and all the other stuff.
Clogs it right
So you
up.
gotta have something in between that sewer, the city, and
Yeah, no
that thing.
thanks.
I used to do that. I mean, that's why I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no dumping.
And the truck wash, the reason I don't want truck wash, because I don't want you guys on me, because if sand starts getting into your sewer and stuff, because you really gotta maintain them truck washes.
I think car wash is good. I like the charging stations. Do we know if there are any charging stations over at Sheets? Do they have any?
no.
I don't
Ooh,
think
we're
they do.
gonna be,
No, the closest to here is it would be the free ones at the Grove City by their
That's what
old
I thought.
downtown.
and that's why I think it would
And
be
then-
good, because if you are going southbound, that would be a nice little stop off.
Yeah.
If you had a nice place for them to like sit and eat something real quick on the inside maybe, or just have a nice area for them to sit in their
How
car.
about putting a subway or something like that in there?
And I think that would be good,
That would be
the
good.
employees that work at the warehouses, they really don't have anywhere
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
go and get something to
I
eat.
agree. And especially if we're gonna be building that up at some point,
Yeah.
if you
Yep.
stick a Subway or something in with it, you got me, buddy.
Hey,
I love
wanna do it.
Subway. I love it.
Yeah,
There you go. You struck the chord.
Okay, does council want to move forward with this annexation project?
I'm good with it.
I would be fine.
Yeah,
Thank you.
solid business plan.
With the caveat
Sorry for
of
coming in
EV.
here again too.
That's
because
okay.
It wasn't my fault though.
No, you know what? I think that's good though, because I don't think we talked about charging stations the
No.
last time, or having somewhere like a Subway to
Nope.
eat that's incongruent with it. So I think
I'll
this
take
was
any ideas from
fantastic.
any of you. I mean,
Yeah.
if you think, and you also, Sir Eric.
Yeah.
If I mean, if I can put a camper dump in there, I will. I'll just put if they agree, I'll put a trap in there where no debris goes in the sewer.
Well, I was thinking of the like the pilot at 22 and the bypass. I mean, you have to go in and get
Yeah.
their stuff.
That's about,
So
I just don't want anything to come back on me.
would this be general commercial then, Mayor, with 7,000 square feet or 5,000? Because anything over 2,000 is general, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, this would probably, this would probably wind up being general commercial. We need to look at to verify and all the surroundings. Because once this would be, the first step would be to annex it, and I'd encourage you to do the same thing, check with Wendy and get a date, just don't go to the county and drop it off.
Yeah.
Let's coordinate your schedule with the village meeting schedule as well.
Hey, that's why I hired that attorney last time.
And we would also, once it was annexed, then you'd have to come back and do a rezoning. And that would take a while too. And we probably need to check out and make sure the zoning, what this would have to actually be zoned to do something like this.
Yeah.
Because that could get into a little situation on setbacks and everything else.
Yeah.
We only
Depending
have
on-
the two for commercial right now, right? Neighborhood and general.
We have two of those, but I mean, I was gonna say this,
Unless it was a plain commercial district.
is the property directly north.
Billy's.
Is that Bill Scalise? Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure you use contiguous. Before we go any further.
First thing.
Yeah, first thing, yeah, okay. I thought when we looked before, everything was
Yeah,
good, but
first thing.
because we're not touching on any of the other sides, so. Okay, yeah, we have to see how that is currently zoned. I believe that's zoned for R3.
It is.
So with residential, there's some setbacks and everything else you have to be, so we just want to make sure all that fits and works and everything else.
Yeah.
But, okay,
Do we need a traffic study for this since it's right there on the main corner?
not, you only, council only need, or the village only requires a traffic study if you do a site plan, a major site
Okay.
plan. I'm sorry, not a site plan, if you're zoning a planned district,
Development.
a planned district, yeah, planned unit development. So if this is zoned general commercial, no, there would not be a traffic study actually would not be required.
And you don't know.
Although you're going to have to get permission from ODOT's for curb cuts.
That's what I was
So
gonna ask.
I'm sure they're going to tell you, you
They're
got
gonna
to,
make me-
we're not going to require it, but I'm sure they're going
It's
to.
state highway.
You're gonna pay for the roundabout at 762 and 104 is what you're
Darn
gonna
well
do.
better.
I hope not.
You better not be using no points.
Okay, well, I would suggest, does council have any more questions at this
No.
point?
Oh, that's excellent.
Okay, I would suggest check with Wendy, coordinate some dates for annexation.
Yeah.
We can move forward with
And
that.
I'll check on some grants to put the charging station. I think that
Yeah.
things are like $50,000 or $70,000 a piece.
AEP
Yes.
has grants.
Do they?
They're all
Yeah.
over. Yeah, it's every year they have so many that they, Grove City actually got theirs put in and it's through one of the EV charging things. And for like the first 12 years, it has to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're using it to bring people into the downtown
I do,
area.
because they bring people in there to buy stuff.
It's-
There's gonna be.
I know every time I charge, I get,
Exactly. And it's newer now and a lot of people over in Foxfire Development have it. I think it would be great. I mean,
Yeah,
people passing through too, heading south.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, up next, business item I is the Kirshner property annexation. What's this?
Good evening, council. Stephen Lindley from the Ambrose Property Group in Indianapolis. This is my colleague Craig Cordy. Here to talk to you about the Kirshner parcel just north of Crabtree and the possibility of annexing into the village of Commercial Point. So we've had this parcel under contract for the last 18 to 24 months. We've had a couple of preliminary conversations with the village about the likelihood of annexing it into the village, which those conversations to date have mostly been probably not. So we have been assessing the viability of this site for speculative industrial development. And while we've had it under contract, been marketing it for build-to-suit opportunities as well. In the last, call it 60 days, we were approached by a user under the codename Project Roosevelt, which is a Fortune 500 company. We don't know anything yet about number of jobs or wages, but we do know it's a Fortune 500 company. It would be a 1.3 million square foot warehouse. And this site was shortlisted as a top 3 or 4 site for them in the sort of immediate vicinity of where they want to be. So because of this user, I felt it was worth reaching back out to the village just to ensure that the position would not change in light of the news that there may be a Fortune 500 user potentially interested in this site. For clarity, we have already made an initial proposal to the user, which contemplates annexing to the north into the city of Columbus. A majority of the parcel sits in Franklin County, probably over 95% plus or minus is in Franklin County today. So the current business plan is to annex to the north into the city of Columbus. Just to rip the Band-Aid off, path to utilities is pretty complicated going that direction. It's not insurmountable, but it's much easier to go the other direction into the village. There's a clear path to utilities. Obviously, it's on the north end of kind of the planned industrial park today. It's adjacent to Crabtree, which I believe is now annexed into the village.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the point of the conversation today. We're here to help answer any questions. We are under a strict NDA with the user right now. We are expecting a counter response in the next, call it 30 days. And I'm hopeful that with that, we'll be allowed to have kind of more direct dialogue and understanding around the underlying user, job creation, wages, and all that.
What's the benefit for commercial points?
Well, I mean, one of the benefits is really from the utility standpoint, you have a provider that will be paying for utilities, but also job creation. Again, we don't know the total job creation yet today. We hope to be able to share that relatively soon. But it's 1.3 million square foot warehouse, so it's reasonable to assume there's some decent jobs that will come along with it.
What's the size of our warehouse that has 15 employees? That we currently have, in a million?
Million square foot.
I mean, I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just saying that they have 15 full-time employees and then,
Automation.
and then,
That's right.
seasonally they bring in a lot more, but for most of the year, so.
I don't see using our utilities and our water actually as a benefit to the village. I guess I don't understand how it's a big benefit.
I guess it's gonna really depend on who that Fortune 500 company is and the numbers. I mean, we don't want to miss out on another military, weapons plant.
Sure.
But you just saying it's Fortune 500, I don't know what their fortune is, but it's not a fortune for us with 15 employees paying income tax.
Is there any sort of guidance on, number of jobs or wages that would sort of excite the village or open the door to a conversation on annexation?
Probably once we knew the company and.
Well, I know with the code names and all that. We probably won't find out who the company is, but I am concerned about the number of employees because those are potential residents and taxpayers. But the other thing too is this company, in your opinion, is it a high utility user?
This use will not be.
No, we don't anticipate this use to be a high.
Okay, so because
It's more of a warehouse type use.
Okay.
So it's not doing manufacturing or food related or any of that stuff.
Okay, I mean, concerned, we already have space allocated and commitments made for cloud storage and these things, and it's terrific drain on utilities, and we can't even think about something else like that.
Yeah, not a heavy power user.
Okay.
Was the property you was looking at, I'd put together a little map for the council. Did that include the 2 parcels up against 104 as well? When I looked at it, there was like 3 parcels, I believe is what the Franklin County auditor showed. They showed the house on a separate parcel and it showed this here as a separate parcel.
Yeah, all of that is included.
So it's all that and all the way back to here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. It's about 182.5 acres, I think.
Okay. Yeah, when I went through and I saw the Kirshner name was on all 3 parcels, so I figured it was all.
Yeah, and this user would contemplate the entire site.
How much of it is already in Pickaway County?
It's
I'm going to say, I don't have the exact numbers for you right now. I want to say it's probably 15 to 20 acres maybe at an end.
Okay.
The mayor
Maybe
probably
a
has the
little
best visual. I don't know if everyone has a visual that has the line going through. I don't know the exact.
Okay,
off the top of my head.
did they have this all the way down through?
Yes.
Okay. So you've got the lane property is like right through there.
Right.
And I put the line kind of like what the county line was. Well, he's saying it goes all the way to the lane, so you're looking to square that whole thing off there.
So
Yeah.
that triangle.
Yep,
Yeah.
that
That
little
right
triangle. The triangle right here where it looks like there's a pond or something,
Oh, okay.
or
Also
something
include
blue,
That too, okay.
whatever.
Yeah, it's everything. There you go.
So yeah, that little section of, yeah, I could see where that would be in Pickaway County and the rest of it's Franklin. I guess it's, like I said, we discussed at the committee of the whole meeting and some of our concerns was one being in Franklin County. And we're dealing with different building codes, different building inspectors, different fire departments. I take it they'd be wanting probably abatements.
Yeah, every other. sector
Abatements and
considered
TIFs
has-
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're looking dealing with different school districts on your abatement agreement or on your, your CRA agreements. You'd be dealing, I mean, everything's completely different.
I have no interest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
I think the way it's being presented tonight, it doesn't seem much pros because there's so many unknowns. You tell me they're bringing in 1,700 employees that average 100,000 a year.
Yeah, and that's
a lot of money.
Yeah, totally fair. And it would be good for us. I mean, it'd be helpful for us if we get to a point in the conversation with the user and they start to disclose this information. A, can we share it with you? And B, is there again some guidance or a threshold from you all where you start to get to a point where you say, okay, if they're going to produce 450 jobs and wages look like this, we'll have a conversation. Anything short of that, we're probably not interested. That would just be helpful sort of guidance for us.
That's probably close to what we're thinking.
450 jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are the thoughts?
I don't think 450 would come close to making it worthwhile.
Not entry level jobs.
What revenue, Mayor, what revenue do you think from income tax would make it?
Well, the other building that went up over there was what, 4,000 employees? Is what they brought in, that government contract?
Oh, yeah, their median income's 132,750.
With 4,000 employees, that's huge.
Said 5,000 in the paper.
Yeah, but the paper also said that BJ's is going to have a warehouse you can shop at. So,
Well,
it's
$60 an hour start out.
I'm not saying it has to have 4,000 employees by any means whatsoever. But
1,000 jobs.
a 1,000 jobs would be huge. I still don't know about if there's like I said, if there's a lot of stuff moving into another county.
Yeah,
A lot of
that's
meetings
the part I'm unclear.
and yeah, the clarity for us, we've never done that except for the one little square up there going that direction.
Crabtree parcel.
Yeah.
That was the only Franklin County.
He had 3 acres that happened to be sticking there. Franklin County didn't know it was there and it turned into a mess Wendy was down trying to clean that up at the county. Our county had been taking their taxes on the whole thing forever. Franklin County didn't know it existed. And they found out, then they had to carve out and say, okay, this is our property. And it's just trying to clean that little map up. I think that's the biggest drawback for the village is, like we've discussed before, is going into Franklin County because we're dealing with a whole completely different set of people. The other item is, I don't know if you're aware of the Crabtree property. Yes, that's in the village. No, there is no sewage on it at this time, water or sewage. And we don't even have in where K-Nova had done their stuff. Well, the furthest north in the warehouse district is the Pasuti property, and it doesn't even go all the way to the north.
Right.
I think we do have stuff, though, over in Southern Point.
Yes.
Country's got water in front.
He does have, that's right, he's got a water line going in front of his property, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess water wouldn't be a problem, sewage, I'm not sure how that would have to
Yeah.
go or
Lane
anything.
or Crabtree. Yeah.
But yeah, it's, so,
That's a bad word.
yeah, so, but that's,
Yeah.
but I think with a lot of unknowns, I don't know.
I'm worried about traffic on the roads. Like, roads are always one of my big things. And since the rectangle is split, like maintaining roads at that county line over on Welch, when it gets bad, you can see right where they stop plowing and right where Pickaway isn't plowing.
Well, this would all be state route, this would be 104, so
Yeah. So
the
that's
state would handle all of that.
Yeah.
The county,
What about all
that
the
would probably be the
traffic?
least,
Would they be widening it?
that would be up to ODOT and, with traffic
We would
studies and all
likely have to
that.
do some widening to the roadways, turn lanes. and-
Sure, you probably
Yeah,
have turn
yeah.
lanes and everything else on
And
it.
it sounds like whether we say yes or no, the traffic will be there because it's getting built, whether it's
So-
Columbus or it's us.
Yeah,
So,
that's
I
true.
mean,
Okay, good point.
I guess there's just too many unknowns for me to tell you one way or the
Yeah,
other.
and- yeah,
And
this
that's not
was-
any fault of yours, but
Yeah, this is
you're
meant
asking
to
us to
be-
take a big leap of faith that could really blow up on us.
Understanding the annexation process is a long, lengthy process,
Yeah.
and this, we're
Yeah.
trying to get an idea whether this is something that we could, is feasible or not, and we understand.
We don't want you to waste money coming our way and then it come out that it's not going to be.
I think we better just let Franklin County have it. Do Franklin
That's what
County.
I think too.
Understood. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you reaching out
Yeah,
to us. And,
absolutely. Yep. We appreciate the time. Thank you.
okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on, we're down to legislation. Up for a first reading this evening is Resolution 04-2025, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and the village administrator of the Village of Commercial Point to execute the assignment and assumption agreement for road maintenance obligations and declaring an emergency.
This is the one you wanted us to waive.
This is, this is basically cleaning up two agreements that are kind of like in conflict with each other. So this is more or less paperwork.
I'll make a motion to waive.
Have a motion to suspend the readings by Nancy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jay. Roll call vote to suspend the 3 readings.
Andrea?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Nancy? Yes. Ross?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Motion passed. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 04-2025?
Motion.
Motion by Audrea. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sarah. Roll call vote to adopt.
Eric?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Nancy? Yes.
Motion passed. Up next for a first reading is resolution 06-2025, a resolution authorizing and directing the village administrator to enter into an easement agreement with Scannell Properties number 556 LLC, Hart Commercial Point Industrial LLC, and Amazon Data Services Incorporated, and declaring an emergency.
Finally.
Yeah, this is the one that we discussed about that's been in the works for over a year and a half, trying to get all the lawyers together from 4 different corporations and signing off on an agreement.
Motion to suspend.
Have a motion by Ross to suspend the 3 readings. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jay. Roll call vote to suspend the readings.
Ross?
Yes.
Nancy? Yes. Andrea?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Do I have a motion? Motion passed. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 06-2025?
Motion.
Motion by Audrea. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sarah. Roll call vote to adopt.
Sarah?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Nancy? Yes. Andrea?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Motion passed. There was a motion that was on your previous agenda,
Mhm.
and that was to do a 3rd reading for rezoning. I'd received a text from Bruce, as I told you in the Cal meeting, saying he wanted that pulled off. Although he did not submit his other paperwork yet, I received a text from him this evening asking that it be postponed or tabled.
Doesn't he
So-
have to be here to ask for it to be tabled?
Well, we don't officially have anything other than a text message he sent me saying to pull it off the agenda. He was supposed to follow that up with an email, and the email never came. So technically, that should have been on your agenda for this evening.
There's nothing on the agenda.
And that's why I'm saying it probably should have been on there, because I pulled it off when
Yeah,
I
but-
got his text.
All you can vote on is what's on your agenda, what has been advertised to the public. Since it's not on there, you can't take any action.
What's that do to our timing on that?
So you're saying we cannot vote to put it on the agenda, to add it back onto the agenda, and then vote to postpone it?
If you want to vote, if you want to amend the agenda and put it on the agenda to postpone it, you may do that, yes.
Let me ask the other side of this thing. If no action is taken in any regard, does it automatically fail because of a time frame?
We are we have 120 days to make a decision.
We're still
Are we
within.
at that time?
And we are probably,
Gotta be getting close.
that may give us, without pulling the record, she can find out, without pulling the
That's
record,
what I was
it
curious
may
about.
be good for the next meeting.
If it is, then.
We're okay. And that's where I was concerned because council does have to act on it
Yeah.
within 120
Didn't
days.
we establish with one of the things last year that no action is a no? Wasn't that with one of
If
the?
you don't
county
approve
things?
it, by Robert's rules, it becomes a no. If you don't approve within the statutory time frame.
Yeah, the timeframe, that's the part.
Right.
So I guess we should wait to see where we're at
Well, that's when to know.
because if it goes down as a statutory no because of inaction, then it's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct? I mean.
Yeah.
So went in front of council December 2nd was the first time that they saw it. So you have
So that-
120 days from.
Then we're
December
okay.
2nd.
Yeah.
Well, no, when's the next council meeting?
Not until
It is March 3rd.
March 3rd.
Then that'd be the last day.
When was it?
January, February, March, it'd be 90 days.
Well, February's 28 days. That gives us.
When did
the
it come in
extra-
front?
that gives
December the
us-
3rd?
That should give us
Isn't
the
it
2 days.
120?
It's 120, and that's only 90 days.
Oh, that's, okay, I'm thinking extra month. Okay, we're
You
good.
just have to-
60.
Yeah, I would put it on
I was
for,
gonna look at the big number.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be at 91
Then
days.
we're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good with this then. That's fine. I will let him know he needs to let us know something come the next meeting. Get something officially in writing to us.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally, we have, moving on to pending administrative action, resolution 05-2025, a resolution to transfer monies within the general fund from the transfers out account 1000-910-910 and transfer said monies to the motor vehicle account 1000-110-393. And as we discussed in the committee of the whole, this is to move money for the cruiser that got totaled.
Make a motion?
Do a motion to suspend the 3 readings by Nancy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Audrea. Roll call vote to suspend the readings.
Nancy,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yeah.
Eric,
Yes.
Andrea,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Motion passed. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 05-2025?
Motion.
Is there a motion by Jay? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Audrea. Roll call vote to adopt.
Andrea,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Motion passed. I guess we didn't have to officially waive the readings because that was
Didn't think
pending
so.
administrative action.
Oh, that is.
Just in case.
But we did. Is there any other additional business
we
at this
already
time? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Audrea. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nancy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. This meeting is adjourned.
You're right, I was talking to my buddy, he said he got grant